My name is B. Steadwell. I use all of the pronouns. I prefer they, them pronouns. Growing up in D.C. was a really dynamic experience. I got to go to school in DuPont and kind of run around DuPont a little bit. I was born in the late 80s, so I'm sort of toward the end of the Chocolate City era when it starts to sort of get gentrified and change. But learning about the history, learning about go-go, kind of helped me ground as an artist, I think. And just like how dynamic the music scene is and the art scene is. It's just like, there's kind of room for everybody and there's all kinds of folks. But I think probably the thing about DC that sort of sticks with me is the park, just like running around in the trees. The DC folks come to mind first, of course, like Backyard Band, Chuck Brown, Eva Cassidy is a big one, just in terms of like vocals and melodies. I also really love Sade. Sade is a big influence for me. Missy Elliott, Emily King, who also spent some time in DC. Yeah, those are kind of, and then some other folks like Nina and Joni and Sarah Vaughan. I remember I first heard Sarah Vaughan on WPFW. I remember very clearly, like, who is this? I had never heard her, so that was a really nice memory. I describe my music as pop music. Sometimes I call it queer pop music. I think pop is sort of, it's not a genre people usually like to claim. It feels, maybe to some people it feels lowbrow, but to me it's, pop just describes music that's accessible, it's earnest, it's fun, sometimes it's cheesy, sometimes it's like very corny, and I think like just being Black and queer, I really always wanted like corny love songs. I just felt like I deserve corny love songs too. I deserve songs like that I can relate to. So I do play with different genres. I call it soul. I call it, R&B and folk. But overall, I think it fits under the pop umbrella. The first song I ever heard that had a woman sort of telling a love story about another woman was Ani DeFranco. The song was She Says. And I think I was maybe 11 when I heard it, and I thought, I knew what it meant. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know how clear the song is that it's a queer song, but I knew it was a love song, and I knew it was about sort of a distance, and I think when I heard that, I was like, wow, I've never actually related to a song to this extent before. And I think that was the first time that seed was planted, where I wanted to say, I wanted to write love songs like that made people feel connected and seen. I wrote a song in after the 2016 election called Gay Sex, and it's basically just about loving as a form of protest, and it's about how like groups of people who are driven by hating people for being different, or trying to suppress people for being different, when my communities are simply trying to just love each other, love our communities. I thought that after, a few years, I thought that song was gonna be retired and kind of irrelevant. And it never happened. It just is still, it's still kind of coming back around. So, I think ultimately, you know, queer folks, trans folks, Black folks know we have to take care of each other. Relying on politicians and lawmakers to keep us safe is clearly not working. I always wanted to go to an HBCU because I had gone to, you know, predominantly white institutions for most of my life. And, you know, at that point I was just like, I'm tired of sort of like trying to explain myself in terms of race. And I wanted to study art in an HBCU, and Howard has a film program that's well known, and so I decided to go there, and it was really cool to like be a part of this school. Having grown up in D.C., I worked with Haile Garima. He was my advisor, and the experience was as beautiful as I expected. I didn't feel like I had to explain my Blackness or my queerness. I just got to be an artist, and I got to learn about art from a global perspective, not just white Americans or white Europeans. Like, it was a really great experience, and I get to teach there now. So it's like, yeah, I'm like, it's a full circle sort of moment now. Ultimately, I think if something brings you joy, if something lights you up, whether it's sort of a career path or a person or an item of clothing, follow that, you know, that joy. It's not really worth it to push yourself and try and fit into these really angular, strange places that don't work for you. And I think ultimately when you try to fit, it just doesn't work. What do I represent with pride? Kind of everything, but I represent my weirdness with pride. I represent queer pop music with pride. I represent my Blackness with pride. I represent my non-binary folks with pride. I represent love songs and love with pride. Yeah, I think those are the main ones.